This is Alex Vans, and you're listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. My name is Lou Lombardi, and a.k.a. Loudini, and we have another great interview with you guys today with Alex Van of the band and his band, Bad Business. These guys are just very cool rock and roll group. Great music. You're really going to enjoy it. We have a good time. Very interesting person. You are listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. That is LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com. Every Tuesday and Thursday there are new interviews posted, and every Saturday there is a new music podcast with my lovely and talented co-host, Miss Katie Simone. If you don't want to miss that, that is LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com. I'd like to take a second and thank my sponsor, Positively Pittsburgh Live Magazine, Pittsburgh's first internet radio, TV network, online community, and business directory. You can get videos and audio podcasts like this one. You can get articles. There's a great place to get coupons, find out about businesses. There's a lot of great information there, a lot of great content on all kinds of things ranging from health and fitness to finance to rock and roll. That's why we're there. You can even have your own magazine page, write your own articles, and upload your own videos. If you've got something out there you want to peddle or push, that is Positively Pittsburgh Live Magazine, pplmag.com. Now, without further ado, I have this really very interesting gentleman on the phone, Alex Van. His newest single is Velociraptor, not Velociraptor. Velociraptor, and it barrels ahead with all the speed and ferocity of a T-Rex chasing down Jeff Goldblum. All right, and this is on their debut release, Buy American Volume 1. Alex, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Lou. It's really good to be here.
All right, man. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Washington, D.C. This is where I was born and raised, yeah.
Okay, so you're originally from D.C. We're going to get into all kind of fun stuff today. You guys have some very cool things going on. But why don't you give us a little background? Give us a sort of like Reader's Digest version of like how you got into music and ended up where you are right now.
Sure. Well, like I said, born and raised in D.C., which is, you know, what most people say when I say that is you know, really, you're from here? Because nobody I know is actually from this town. And wow, you play music and you live in D.C., which is also another weird thing because there is a very small artist community here, and you have to really find it. But once you do, it's pretty rewarding. Toured in a couple bands, was an entertainer on a bunch of cruise ships. Did the whole full-time musician thing for a while. Ended up about 3 years ago working in tech and then doing music and trying to balance both things at the same time. Met one of my best friends and co-writers about 2 years ago, and we started writing what would become Buy American Volume 1, and then soon in about 3 months, Buy American Volume 2, and came up with the renaming the band Bad Business, and basically it's a combination of you know, we thought just from our experience in both doing music full time and working in the tech world and trying to draw the similarities between the two, and how if I basically ever tried to pitch going around in a van and staying in Motel 6s with 5 dudes as a business plan to anybody, I would be laughed out of any boardroom. So we try to take like a little bit of a satirical twist on the music and you know, try to, I guess, combine, you know, as much, you know, just fun and rock attitude to serious material as we can. Right.
Before we go too far ahead of ourselves, who's in the band? Because you have a great bunch of guys.
Oh yeah, so we got 5 guys in the band. So Adam Ashforth on drums, who's a great local drummer. We got one of my favorite guys to introduce on stage. He's our guitarist, Eric Estrada, and people don't believe me. That's his actual name.
That's his actual name. I know. I read that, and you're like, Eric Estrada, what's this? Yeah, no, but it is. It's cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, and we got John Dace on bass, and Andy Valenti, who is our my co-writer slash hype man slash part-time backup vocalist and advisor to the band is what we call him, especially in jest sometimes, but also he's a pretty valuable asset creatively.
So you guys got together. Now you and Andy are the songwriters. You guys work together on creating the songs. Is that how it usually works?
Yeah. So Andy and I co-write about, I would say, 40% of the material, and then for the rest of it, I usually write it. And he's got a pretty good ear with arranging and production. So he typically takes my, I would put quotes around this, music school brain and, parses it down to, rock tunes that people actually would, like to listen to and enjoy.
Okay. Can you describe, now you guys did something that's really interesting. I want to talk about your YouTube series here in a minute.
Sure.
But you kind of went through like a little metamorphosis, if I'm to understand your bio correctly, right? Were you sort of more of like a kind of a dirty stoner rock type sound, and then you kind of morphed, or was that a separate project?
Yeah, well, so my first record that I came out with about 4 years ago was pretty influenced by a guy I was touring with for a while whose name was Justin Jones, and we were in a band called Justin Jones and the Driving Rain, and he was a very kind of, I would say, Wilco-influenced Americana singer-songwriter with a lot of sort of country singer influence in it, and he kind of influenced a lot of my early songwriting. I sort of took that and combined it with, some of the rock elements, but it ended up being a very kind of southern rock vibe. Mm-hmm. Half of going to more of the Bad Business sound was, one, I just got kind of tired of playing acoustic guitar and wanted to play electric. And then the guys I was playing with kind of brought me a little more into the rock direction. Adam is a really kind of trashy, garage band drummer, and just kind of getting with those guys, brought the sound into, I would call it a little more of a stoner rock vibe than the southern rock thing I was doing a few years ago.
Now, okay, so how would you describe the band's sound now? Because it's really unique. It's a good, like, it's like dirty, but it's still kind of like real, like accessible, like real. Then you kind of find yourself singing along pretty quickly, after a few seconds. So how what would you kind of say about that?
Yeah, I appreciate that. First, I really appreciate the compliment. I'm glad my tunes are catchy. I would probably, just referencing the question you asked before, I think it's a combination of, the influences from the kind of dirty southern rock stuff that I was doing and supporting other bands, mm-hmm. and then, kind of fusing that with the very straightforward, rock sound that Andy and some of the other guys are really into. Okay. And then what I typically, I would go into school and being from a jazz background originally, way back when I was in college, trying to sprinkle in some of those kind of kooky elements to, keep the song interesting as you kind of listen along. How
influenced are you by the music that you like? You said you did the whole cruise ship, Now, were you playing like pop music on the cruise ships, or were you playing jazz?
Yeah, so I did a couple of contracts. The first few were with the jazz orchestra. Okay. So we would play a lot of the old swing stuff, and then we would do some combo sets where we would, play all standards. And then I switched over to becoming a lounge entertainer, which was all top 40 covers. I don't really credit that to any creativity, but I do credit the fact that I learned how to sing on those ships. I was originally never a singer and always a guitarist, and then sort of out of necessity started singing every night. And realize that actually anybody can sing if you just kind of do it every single night for 3 hours. You'll eventually come out after a year with somewhat of a voice. Yeah.
That was well, I mean, one thing I would say is, like, when you look at the band's videos, and even there is that element of this entertainer. You definitely, that kind of shines through in what you're doing. And I sort of suspect, maybe you don't think this, but I sort of suspect that the sort of pop sensibility that you kind of like have in your music, even though it is edgy and dirty, kind of comes a little bit from kind of, having to learn, pop music over time. Do you agree with any of that at all, or not that you're influenced exactly by, like, you're sitting down, I want to sound like X, Y, Z, but you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think so. One of my most formative influences was this. When I was about 21, they had sort of two lounge entertainers on my first cruise ship contract that alternated sets. So I had the early set and he had the late set. And this guy, knew pretty much every single top 40 song ever written from the Motown days up to today. And, he was always a little bit tipsy. He played them kind of sloppy, but it didn't matter because the way he was just able, with his behavior and his banter and his presence, to just control that room every night, no matter who was in it. So there'd be 50 people not giving a. Can I curse on the show, or?
Well, keep it PG-13 if you can.
Okay, not giving a crap, and just through his, I guess, personal magnetism, able to just control the room with, the most sort of predictable kind of pop songs. And I was like, pretty much, if I can act like that on stage, and I can, put some really compelling music behind it, then I felt like I should get a winning combination. I think you're on to something. Let's go ahead and give the kids at home a taste of what you guys sound like. This is the single Velocirapture. This is the Clever Girl mix. Alex Vance and Bad Business on the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus.
Okay, Velocirapture. Well, that's a catchy title. Tell us about Velocirapture.
Sure. So I wrote this song about a year and a half ago, and Andy and I had just binge watched the first 3 Jurassic Parks and then went to go see Jurassic World in the theater.
Gotcha.
And it was also, I think, a combination of me, feeling a little bit ambivalent about there's a lot of deep-seated political kind of stuff sprinkled throughout the song, but and this kind of goes back to the way Andy and I write together. I was writing about all these angsty things that I was, feeling about politics and religion and all sorts of things, and he was like, dude, let's write about raptors, man. And and so the verse is kind of this juxtaposition of just like, yeah, let's throw in a raptor because raptors are cool. I was basically like, yeah, okay, yeah, that sounds good. and so it's kind of serious and fun at the same time.
Yeah, it is. It's a super fun song, super fun video too. Guys can check it out if you go to Alex Van's YouTube channel. Now, speaking of YouTube, because this is something I wanted to talk about. Tell everybody, what is this? You guys did this like 4-part webisodes or whatever you want to call it, like a kind of a mini micro sitcom called Bad Business. Now, this is. I just posted on Facebook, dude, this might be one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen a band do. So tell everybody what this is, because this is not to be missed.
I kind of view it as sort of a weird combination of Silicon Valley and Wolf of Wall Street and Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's pretty much we basically the band and I essentially play weird variations, kind of extreme caricatures of ourselves, where I have the realization that we're getting older, we're not as successful as we want to be, and the reason is we're not really treating our band like a real business. So you read all these music industry forums about how you got to operate your business or your band as a business and everything. And so we sort of take that idea and run it into this bizarro world where, we basically take all the superficial elements of a business and try to apply that when, let's get a bunch of whiteboards and let's put cubicles in our rehearsal space and we'll get put on suspenders and power suits and draw graphs, and that'll make us successful.
The acting is really good. I mean, like, it's pretty. Who directed that for you? Because it's I just so everybody at home knows, like, it looks like a real television show. When you start watching it, it's totally pro. And I think that adds to it, because it would have just been shot with your cell phone or something like that. It wouldn't, because you're kind of getting psychologically prepared to see like this real thing. But then all of a sudden they take this like left turn about 30 seconds into it. And you're like, what the hell's going on? But so who worked on this with you?
Yeah, so Eric, Andy, and I were the ones that did a lot of the writing, and I actually have to credit. I end up playing sort of the straight man in the whole thing. When I was acting it out, I thought I was being the funny guy, but really I have to credit Eric for like writing a lot of the jokes, and then Andy for just taking those and improvising until they were 10 times as funny as they were on paper. But the guy that actually, I'll take this opportunity to plug him. The guy that actually filmed it is a local DC cinematographer. His name's Roberto Carmona. And yeah, he came as a recommendation from doing some live shots with some other bands that I knew in the community. And we did it with one camera in my apartment, and it was one of the best experiences of because I've shot music videos before. I've done a bunch of different projects like that before, but he was really able to come in and sort of direct us into making it look really good. And I knew by the time we did it in one weekend in my apartment, and it was just one camera, one boom mic, and the four of us kind of crammed into my 400 square foot studio apartment here in Washington. And just the way we ended up having to do, if you watch that, one of the episodes, and the first one is about 3.5 minutes, and every about 30-second scene of back and forth dialogue was 20 takes, all from different angles. And it was almost like working with a really good record producer, where you're doing a vocal take, and you know that, oh, he's making me do 10 more takes than I want to. This is going to look good. So, and we were all just sweating in my apartment and looking at him like, do we really have to do another take? And he was like, yeah, I need to do one from behind. We got to get this reaction shot. We got to do this. And I think it was able to, just the amount of footage that we ended up getting, he was able to cut it into this really fast-looking, kind of single-camera sitcom vibe that so it looked like The Office or Always Sunny in Philadelphia or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely has that vibe to it. It's very cool. So I want everybody, if you do not take nothing else away from this, at least go check that out, because I think people see stuff like that. That's a way for people to kind of sort of fall in love with the band. You know what I mean? Beyond the music, or maybe even if they don't know the music yet, they can kind of start getting in with what you guys are doing, and it's a lot of fun. So tell us about the Bad Business live show. What's the live experience like?
So we actually recently headlined the Black Cat, which is a club in downtown D.C. It's been around forever, but Dave Grohl actually owns it, and we've been lately trying to bring the web series vibe into our live shows. So the past couple of ones, we've all worn our power suits and suspenders and try to adopt sort of halfway between, our real personalities and the characters we take on in the show. One of the best moments, I think, from our last show at Black Cat was I was in the middle of a guitar solo, and Andy starts getting up on stage with one of these old school telephones, those old school conference phones, and starts putting it over like he's in the middle of a meeting, and then he comes in, and then he tries to, and then he'll come up and sort of scold the audience for not synergizing well enough, and then like bringing people closer to the stage. And so it's a kind of combination of realism, and then you're kind of part of this act. I think what we're trying to do eventually is once we really start gelling with that, I was thinking of taking it as far as presenting our live shows like a mock corporate seminar of some kind, complete with like slides.
Cool idea. Yeah. I mean, that's like, nobody's doing that. Cool, man. You guys heard it first.
Well, right now, it's sort of, it's still in beta, though.
Okay, I got you. I mean, like, even with something like that, what you could do is, even if I don't know how long of a set you guys get to play, but if you could get a nice big video screen behind you, and before the band comes on, show the first episode, and then you come in, and I mean, like, it could be like a cool way to kind of like get people like, what the hell's going on here? Kind of get attention. So very good stuff, man. How can folks at home keep up with what's going on and follow you?
Yes, you can go to alexvansmusic.com. You can also look at my YouTube page. If you just go to YouTube and type in Alex Vans Bad Business, the whole web series will pop up. You can follow me on Twitter, Alex Vans Music, Facebook, Alex Vans, Instagram, Alex Vans Music. I tend to post little clips from the web series and sprinkle them throughout. So if you're not sure you want to invest the full 3 minutes on an episode, you can go to my Instagram and watch a 10-second clip just to see if you like it.
Yeah, because we don't want you to have to commit to like 5 minutes of something of your life.
Yeah.
Jeez,
I know,
that's very kind of you, Alex.
It's 2016. I don't expect someone to invest.
You're absolutely right. I stand corrected. Before we wrap up here, do you have any parting thoughts that you would like to, wisdom you would like to impart to the audience out there?
Well, just in reference to our last the song we played, I just want to make sure everybody, heeds my call and believes in the rapture and the raptor, because it's, I think those are good words to live by, and belief is important, especially in an extinct Jurassic era reptile. So.
Oh man, there's so many metaphors now we could that's a lot for people to chew on, my friend. But Alex, thanks a lot, man. The band is Alex Van's Bad Business. Their latest release is Buy American Volume 1. And if you go to Alex Vans, and that's Vans like with an S, not Van, Alex Vans, music.com.
Yeah, it's like the shoe.
Yes, there you are. And you can get all the information there where you can get the record and everything. You definitely want to go out and get it. Every song on it is not just like Velociraptor, but in that sense that it's super great, dirty rock and roll, but super catchy and super fun. You're going to absolutely love it. Loudini gives it 2 enthusiastic thumbs up. Alex, can you hang on? We're going to wrap up. Can you hang on for a second? We'll do a bonus question with you.
Sure, sounds great.
All right. Hey, guys, you've been listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. Alex Vans was on with us, alexvansmusic.com. Please go check that out. One more time to my sponsor, Positively, Pittsburgh Live, pplmag.com. Go there to their website, and they've got a lot of cool stuff. You definitely want to get involved with that. If you love bands like Bad Business, and you love bands like the Manimals and Vexine and all these artists that we've been featuring here, I want you guys to go to supportindierock.com, where we are putting together different programs to get artists like this way more exposure, more like the exposure they actually really deserve. Corporate radio is really, you guys know, you've been listening to me preach about this for 2 years now, is really kind of, closed off to anything that might be actually interesting. Okay, it's all this super homogenized crap. So, if you want this music to be out there and you want to support it, you've got to get involved. Go to supportindierock.com and check that out. You've been listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus, guys. Thanks so much. Please check out alexvansmusic.com. You can get all their information there, where they're playing, and get the records. Guys, thanks so much for listening. We will see you on the next podcast.